Welcome to the Turkish Airlines series podcast. I'm your host, I'm BJ Cunningham, and today we're going behind the cockpit to explore what really matters and what it really means to be a pilot with one of the world's most connected airlines. Flying isn't just about getting from point A to point B. It's about precision, it's about judgment, it's about command, the poetry of defying gravity every single day. My guest, Captain Gökalp, who's fabulous and is next to me here wearing his excellent uniform, has devoted his career to mastering this ancient dream of flight. And I just can't wait to hear his story. So in order to begin, Gökalp, please give us an introduction to yourself.
Hi, it's Gökalp Özdamar, working and flying in Turkish Airlines for the last 19 years. I'm 350, 330 captain currently, and also working as a flight operational compliance supervisor in the documentation side. That's basically it in my professional side.
So you're actually an instructor as well as being a regular pilot.
I used to be instructor in Airbus 320 fleet. Right now I'm in the wide body section of the Turkish Airlines, and I don't instruct, but I write and follow the documents and regulations right now.
Wonderful. Gökalp, every boy, when they're small, look up at the sky and they see a plane that they think, I want to be a pilot. Tell me about that moment for you.
That moment, actually, I don't have that moment that when I opened my eyes, I was in the aviation family already because of my father was a jet pilot. So I was live and grow up around the airports at all times. So it was a destiny for me. Like I didn't have any other option than the aviation, actually. I didn't see anything else.
Is that how you got your name then? Because I know that your name means Sky Master, which is like a Marvel comic.
My friends, most of them, that it was I think a military tradition that time in the 80s era that most of the pilots' kids have the names in their names that they have the Sky, they have the aviation abbreviations, Kanat, Bulut. You can imagine like we all have these kind of names from the era.
And do you remember then your first solo flight? The first time you actually were alone in the air with an aircraft?
It's basically 6 minutes around the airport, gliding, and that time you just be the monkey in the cockpit, try to do what you learn exactly without improvisation, follow the rules. It comes after you land, that when you sit on the side, when you're watching the machine that you flew, you are thinking at that moment that it's what you have done, what you have accomplished. Actually, not while you're living that, but after everything settles down, you understand that how amazing it was.
How long does it take then to actually be able to enjoy the sensation of flying rather than the mechanics of piloting?
It comes with the experience, actually. After you put it into your muscle memory, most of the stuff, the emergencies, the normal procedures and everything, when it starts to come in the muscle memory, then your mind started to have the enjoy the moment, like once you become with the aircraft, actually, like you're wearing a backpack on you, like it's nothing different than wearing a backpack and flying. It's the same thing, that you become one with the machine, with the experience. Once it's in your muscle memory, then you start to really enjoy the flying.
So you become the Sky Master at that moment.
You become Sky Master, yeah.
That's fantastic. Now, when you first started flying for Turkish Airlines, what hit you most about the scale of this operation? Turkish Airlines connects, as we know, more destinations than any other airline. Did that change how you thought or felt about piloting, about your role?
Up onto that time that you got multi-pilot training for 15 hours, but you still don't understand. Every training, every movement, everything you learn is all about the how to say individual experience. Once you step into this big operation, it's like a huge orchestrated operation what we have here. You start to understand that you're just a part of it, and as long as you push the right notes, that is going to make a beautiful music to passengers' ears, let me say. That once I joined the Turkish Airlines, with the time that I understand that I'm a part of a big machine, and with that machine, as long as I do my job right, everything is going to be flawless and nice.
Gökalp, I notice when I fly Turkish Airlines, I love it, and I notice when I hear the captains talk, there's a tone of voice that they use. It's incredibly calm and it's straightforward, and I feel incredibly confident. Is that something you're trained, or is that just pilot speak? Pilot
It's
speak.
it's not the pilot speak that is, as you know, we started as the first officer. That it's the master and apprentice relationship that you learn from that, you observe them, and you take the right parts of it and you carry it forward to the next. So I didn't have any training for that. None of us. We just have the suggestions how to make it. From there, we learn and we continue like this.
Now you're flying down the runway, you're heading down towards takeoff, and there's a transition between earth and air. Tell me about that moment, that lightness that happens.
That we have a speed we called V1, that it's a decision speed. Before that one, you stop in the runway, you go back to the area what you need to do, and you can try another takeoff. But after V1, you need to do at least one more landing before you go back to your home or go back to your destination, go to your destination. That moment, once you transition, it's that we are flying ahead of the aircraft with the experience. So as physically, I'm in the cockpit making that takeoff, but I'm already climbing through the 20,000 feet, giving the decisions ahead, because for that takeoff, I have give my decisions in the last 30 minutes that what I'm going to do. Physically, I'm there. Mentally, I was there half an hour ago. Physically, I'm at the takeoff. Mentally, I'm ahead of the aircraft, like 10, 20 minutes ahead of it. So I can be ready and accept the consequences, whatever happens.
Gökalp, it sounds like a high-performing athlete. I know they're monitoring their hydration, they're monitoring their food, they're getting in the zone, and they're always visualizing the next. So you're always ahead of the story.
You have to be like what you learn 100% on the ground. In stressful scenarios, you can only remember 20% of it. If you put it into your muscle memory, you don't need to remember. You just act. That, as I told you, that physically you're there, mentally you're ready for it. You're mentally ahead of the aircraft and waiting for the aircraft to catches you. That it takes time.
I understand that professionalism and that sense of being in the moment, in the fold. Do you still experience the magic? The literal magic of in the air. Do you still have that?
I mean, you got used to that, of course, but as I told you, as my first solo, everything comes after you finish the operation. You close the book, you watch the aircraft, it's amazing cutting edge technology thing in front of you, and you said that I brought this thing to my destination right on time with no problem. You understand the magic there after everything is finished.
And you've got the big screen in front of you. I mean, you've got the whole window wrapped around, so you're seeing heaven every day. I mean, does that give you a different sense, a different perspective on life?
It's going to be philosophical, I guess, but it makes me realize that everything is all about cycles, that the sunrise, the sunset, the takeoff, the landing, the life of cycle, that you have chance to zoom out from the earth, you have time to think, and you see the cycle of life while you're flying.
Okay, let's go to another section here. You work with a lot of different co-pilots, a lot of different crew, a lot of different. There's a big team that's involved in one of these Airbuses. How do you create and build that instant rapport that you need for a flight together as a team? You're the leader, and I think everyone can understand this from their own perspective in their own jobs. What tips have you got for us?
The understanding is that everybody is there for the same goal, the safe operation and on-time operation, and everybody leaves their family problems behind when they come here as a professionals. So once we met for the briefing, each time it's someone else that I'm flying with, but everybody knows what's their job. Everybody knows what kind of procedures they need to follow. And also the technical briefing of the operation. On the human side, I'm observing the flight crew and my first officers as well, that they might give some cues about that they cannot overcome with their problems and brought it to the professional era. So that never happened, but I am thinking that once I catch that one, I will just pull them away quietly, ask them if everything is okay, if you want to continue to the flight, if we need to change with someone else, because I need everybody to be there in one mind and as to accomplish one goal altogether.
As commander, as pilot, as captain, felt proud, a situation that you dealt with and gave you that sense of inner pride that we all look for in all of our jobs?
I mean, the pride is coming as it's just it's a whole thing that pride doesn't come while the operation walks in. That pride comes that when you do the operation, when you make the aircraft land in the exact spot where you should land and exact time where you should land, and when you finish the operation, then you have the pride with your crew that we made another day. Now we can be proud. But it's a whole package that you don't stop and have the pride and miss the running operation because everything is changing so fast. You don't have time for that.
Is there an example in your mind that you remember that time for some story, for some reason it really sits out? Because I'd love you to take us through it, because that brings to life that story at being at the controls.
It was the end of the COVID time, I guess, that we were making 2 landing flights, that we have to fly from Libreville to some other destination in Africa, and from there we have to fly back to Istanbul. And while the operation was going, we got delayed because of the VIP operations in the Libreville airport, because we have the exact time of duty, that we cannot extend that one. With the commander discretion, I can make it plus 2 hours to continue to the flight. So we made the first landing. Right there, we had to change the tire of the aircraft. And if you wanted to offload the passengers, everybody needed to have the COVID test. So if I need to go to the hotel there because the duty time was extending and I cannot reach Istanbul anymore, we came to a conclusion with my crew that if Turkish Airlines can send the pilots and cabin crew to Antalya, because it's like almost 1.5 hour distance, it will gain us another 1.5 hour to take off from the destination and make the passengers reach their connected flights. So that time we decided to fix the aircraft. The aircraft is flyable, but our duty is not enough, even with the extension, to reach to Istanbul. With Istanbul Operation Control Center, that thanks to them as well and the crew planning, that they send a new crew to Antalya. We made our landing to Antalya, give the passengers an aircraft, and they continued to Istanbul, and we had to stay in Antalya at the end. But we completed the day that day, and I can say that was a proud moment for me.
Oh, that's a fantastic moment, because you pulled together. That's almost a miracle. I mean,
it's a coordinated act of everyone, because we have the same goal: safe operation, on-time operation, and passenger happiness at the end of the day.
Oh, fantastic. Well, flying to 340 destinations means constantly traveling across time zones. And as a passenger, I'm always thinking, how do I cope with this? How do you cope with this as a pilot? You're doing it every day.
You need to have a clear mind to have a good sleep, actually. That if it's some short layover, I try to stay in Istanbul time at all times. That okay. I woke up with the Istanbul and try to take the natural sunlight as much as I can. And if it's the long layover that we need to stay there 3-4 days, we don't have luxury to stay somewhere for almost 8 days actually. Human body can cope with 1 hour a day to get rid of the jet lag. So it's gonna be hard, but with good hydration, with good meals, with good rests, when I come home, I'm okay all the time.
Okay, so managing it and actually staying on the time of your destination or where you're going to end up is probably a smart idea.
Yeah, it is actually.
What's the weirdest? When I'm on the flights, I'm listening. Sometimes the captain is making an announcement. What's the strangest announcement you've ever had to make?
Strangest, I had an announcement. What passenger didn't believe me actually?
Go on.
That we had an onset fog in Istanbul airport coming from the seaside, and that fog was blocked by the airport building. So the fog sit on the runway, but on the other side of the airport building there was nothing. We didn't expect that one. We take the passengers in Gaziantep, close the doors, going for the runway, taxiing out. And the tower called us that you have an onset fog in the Istanbul airport. It's going to be low visibility procedures, that I need the extra fuel for that one. I need the holding fuel, and I need to prepare one more time. So everything has changed. So I made an announcement to the passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to go back to the parking gate. We need to refuel our aircraft due to fog condition and stuff. We stop. The refueling started. Of course, they opened their phone that at the destination in Istanbul, people are waiting for them. And they said, there's no fog here. Because on the other side of the airport, they didn't see anything, but the runway was low visibility, that you couldn't see anything there for landing. Anyways, they start to talk about that captain forgot to refuel the aircraft before he took off. That the discussions in the cabin and stuff. I made one more time announcement. We got the fuel. We are ready for the LVO operation. We made our takeoff, reach Istanbul, made the auto land. That below the certain visibility, we need to make an auto land to the airport. After I stopped in the taxiway, I made an announcement to the passengers, welcome to the foggy Istanbul, that they could see through the window that time, that they didn't believe me in the beginning.
That's fantastic. But on your flights, have you had engagements, anniversaries, birthdays? Are there things like that as pilot you recognize and celebrate, or are these things left to crew?
I mean, these things left the crew. We got the birthdays of the passengers, or if they have any special requests, that for the birthdays, Turkish Airlines is loading them the small birthday cake to surprise them while they're flying.
Oh, hang on a second. So you mean if I fly on a day with Turkish Airlines and it's my birthday, I'm going to get a cake? Is that right?
You should have a cake, yeah.
Wonderful.
It is, but I don't think you want to travel on your birthday, no?
I don't. If it's Turkish Airlines, I will travel every day. I mean, it would be
All right.
It would be great if I'm going to Istanbul. You're flying to 340 destinations. You're spanning literally wings across the world. What have you learned about our world that you wouldn't have learned any other way with this perspective?
I mean, most of the destinations that when we go for the layover, most of the time, I have chance to observe the cultures and observe the people. But when they are sending their loved ones to some flights or to a destination, we, as a humankind, we all have the same behavior. That I could observe them on that everybody's connected in very deep in their hearts, and they behave the same, like the same tears, the same joy, the same laughs, that in every country. That's what I saw.
I love that. Now, talking of cultures and cultural differences, I've noticed on Turkish Airlines flights sometimes, particularly internal flights, but also international flights, when the pilot successfully lands, there's often a huge round of applause from the passengers, which I always find slightly surprising. Can you hear that from the cockpit? And how does it make you feel?
In narrow body aircrafts, that the passengers was closer to the cockpit, so we hear it time to time. And in wide body aircraft, we have a galley in between us, so we don't hear anything if they're clapping or not. That after at the end of the flight, the cabin crew is telling us that if they clapped it. If they don't say that they didn't clap it today. So I think it's a cultural reassurance that it's against the nature to fly. When you leave the aircraft alone, it sits on its place, that you need to do stuff against the nature to make it fly to destination wherever you want to go. For a person, I guess having a safe landing is like a moment of relaxation, and as a
Release.
basic instinct they start to clap. And
Yes.
sometimes when I'm flying as a passenger, you know that the instinct of the people, when someone starts to clap, everybody else starts it. Sometimes I do it for the motivation of the crew, that I start to clapping and everybody's continue with me when I'm flying as a normal passenger.
Excellent. Now, every workplace develops its own little language, its own inside jokes, nicknames for things, phrases that you would sound weird to outsiders. Do Turkish Airlines pilots have any of that? Are there any terms
Uh,
and expressions?
we have some that an outsider, when he hears the two aviators talking like, how many legs did you have today? And I was like, everybody has two legs, you know, that I had four legs today. We call the each cycle of flight as a one leg. So Istanbul,
Ah,
Ankara is one leg, Ankara, Istanbul is another. So that once when you're flying, make a four landings, it means that you have four legs.
I love. Now, Turkish culture has this deep tradition of hospitality, caring for guests, looking after travelers. When you're carrying 300 passengers to these 340 possible destinations, how does that cultural value show up in how you think about your work as pilot?
That's, I would say that every passenger is the same for us. That doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter the culture. That it's an operation. Of course, in the center we have the human, but it's the rules and regulations that we follow. That as presence in the cockpit, it's just in the cabin. It's just my voice through the PA. Whenever I talk to them, I could be warm and welcoming, but our faces is the cabin crew, so it's on their shoulder to show this hospitality and smiling face to the passengers. So you
Yeah,
should ask to
and
our cabin crew about this one actually.
I'm sure we'll get to them. I look forward to, because your
Yeah,
cabin crew are also incredible people. I mean, it's also in the DNA. It's part of. It's instinctive. It seems to me somehow, somehow Turkish people, Turkey, the culture. It's just naturally warm and giving and supportive. There's a natural sense of hospitality. I've noticed.
I mean,
Um,
thanks for that. It's instinctive. Some outsider can compliment on that one, but from my perspective, I cannot say anything about that one. But thank you.
Tell me this. You're flying on these routes everywhere. Is there any particular route that you fly where you think, I just can't believe this is my job? You know, you're,
Ah, I, every aspect is, I cannot believe that that's my job, that I didn't have any other thing in front of my eyes, that I continue the heritage, what I take it from my father. Right now I'm flying, he's retired. Any moment is the moment that I say that I can't believe that that's my job actually.
what's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen from the cockpit that you
Oh,
desperately wanted to share, but that everyone on the plane couldn't see?
I'm flying with a first officer. I'm watching outside. I see a shooting star. And I was like, shooting star. And it's like, where? Just passed away. I'm sorry. Like sometimes I cannot even share with my colleague in the cockpit.
I love that. I do exactly the same thing on the beach. Shooting
Yeah,
star, where? It's gone.
I would love to show it to the passengers as well because I have bigger windows there.
Oh yeah, no, you've got the full screen in front of you. Um, you've seen Turkey from the air more than most people see it from the ground. How's that aerial perspective changed your understanding of your own country?
I mean, it took more than 2 hours to finish from east to west, west to east. And while you're flying with the history lessons that I got in the school, I checked and started to understand the layer of the culture, what was here and what's not there anymore. The ancient Greeks, the Babylon, that the Hittites. Right now we are here. Like it's a vast area of full of culture. Like no matter where you look, you will find something to read in the history books. That's what I've seen while I'm flying.
You're right. It's incredibly rich and incredibly beautiful. Everywhere there's a miracle. Everywhere there's history. It's an extraordinary country. I can only imagine how wonderful that must be from the air. Tell me
Yeah.
this: what does a premium journey mean to you as a pilot? What does it mean?
Yeah, premium journey is not a luxury for us actually. It's like from start to beginning. It's like amazing ticking clock that you expect the ground operations to be on time, the flight operations to be on time and safe. As I said, that when you made the expected landing to the expected place at expected time, it's a premium flight for me with
I,
no
I love that.
problems.
Is that something that you aim for? Is it a target within the culture?
Well,
Premium.
I guess so. I guess so. That's the finishing the job flawlessly is a premium flight for me, not a luxury.
Tell me this. If you could tell every passenger one thing about what it's like up front in the cockpit, what would it be? What do you wish they could experience too?
I mean, the experience that I'm not just me, but all of us are there for them. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. We have the rest. That's our promise. We will do our best to make you reach your destination safe and on time. That's
Now,
that's what I want them to understand.
and I'm going to come to a closing question now with you, which is, you've experienced the aviation industry over the past 15, 20 years. Um, how have you seen that? How's it changed since you started flying, and where do you see Turkish Airlines leading in this change in this industry?
When I have started, I catch the last times of the old technology of 737-400s. And then we start to fly 737-800s, the Airbus 340 with no GPS, no sat nav. Like that time, the hardware was the limit. That even the flight computers wasn't enough to take the aircraft, prepare it from Istanbul to Tokyo. That we didn't have we had certain amount of checkpoints that we were making it preparing from Istanbul to Seoul. That once we pass Baku, we are completing the flight computer from Baku to Tokyo. That it was a short while, but I catch the last part of that one. That time, the limit was the hardware, and through in the last 15 years, I would say that Airbus 350 came right now I'm flying with, that the hardware is not the limit anymore. Now the software or the human hardware is the human body is the limit now, that we are discussing about how we can make the from Istanbul to Sydney flights that 17 hours operations, how we can make it ease for them and stuff. So I've seen that from machine limits. Now the machine is not the limit. Now the human body is the limit in today's perspective. As a leading company, as a Turkish Airlines, that it's keeping the human is in the center, and it's trying to show the other companies, or I would say to the industry, that how we can make it, how we can expand safely, how we can make the extend the flight time safely and reach the new destinations, I would say.
It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Um, I think what we'll do is we'll bring this to a close now. And I want to say this, that listening to you, Gökalp, today reminds me that every time we step onto an aircraft, we're trusting our lives to somebody who's dedicated years to mastering one of humanity's greatest achievements, and that is that ability, that dream to fly. But more than that, we're connecting with professionals who see their work both technically as a craft and culturally as a responsibility. So thank you for joining us. If today's story sparks something in you out in the audience, remember that Turkish Airlines flies to more destinations than any other airline, and your next transformative journey could be closer than you think. So until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, always widen your world. Safe travels, my friends. Thank you, Gökalp.
Thank you.